Going to do a kind of landscape photography that I know I'm not very good at. The order, or the elements of order within the chaos. Good afternoon, everyone. I've always said that my videos are never intended to be tutorials. I'm not trying to teach people. I don't feel remotely qualified to teach people about photography. Today's video is very definitely not a tutorial. Very, very definitely not. Today I am going to do a kind of landscape photography that I know I'm not very good at, but it's one that I want to try to do more of, and therefore I want to get some practice at. So I thought I'd take you along with me and you can see whether I succeed or not. I've always enjoyed looking at woodland photos, images taken in woodland, so basically woodland landscape photography. Maybe it's because I grew up in the country in England and I spent a lot of my childhood playing in and around local woodlands, I don't know. But I do think that there's something about woodlands that make for some really, really beautiful scenes. Now, having said that, I am not a woodland photographer. I am much more comfortable shooting mountains and lakes and seascapes than I am woodlands. Now, part of that might be because the woodlands here are actually quite challenging to find decent images in. There's not much diversity in terms of the trees, and it's an arid environment, so we don't get lots of sort of beautiful flowers growing in the floor. We don't get moss and lichen growing anywhere. We certainly don't get mist and fog, and it's very, very hard to find woodland with any kind of water running through it. So I really find it difficult from that point of view to find good compositions. But I also think part of it is actually a failing on my part. It's a lack of observational skill on my part, which means I don't see woodland compositions as easily as I see seascape compositions or mountain compositions or lake compositions. Woodlands are inherently chaotic. There's all sorts of things going on. There's vertical tree trunks, there's horizontal branches, there's diagonal lines, there's straight lines, there's curved lines, there's all sorts of stuff going on the floor, there's all sorts of stuff going on further up, there's branches hanging in, there's dead bits, there's live bits. It's a chaotic environment, and I feel that the key to finding good compositions in woodland is to find the order or the elements of order within the chaos, rather than just shooting the whole scene or trying to find a whole scene that works. It's a case of narrowing it in and finding just those elements that are structured that will make a good composition. I think that woodland photography is never going to be my first choice in terms of landscape photography, but I do think it's something that I want to practice more. It's something that I want to do more of, because I think it opens up the possibility to shoot at times and in weather conditions when other types of landscape photography are not going to produce good images. So that's what I'm doing today. I've come out and I'm going to see what I can find in terms of getting any good landscape images in woodland. So I've come to the mountains. And if you're wondering why I've come to the mountains to shoot woodland, it's simply because that's the nearest place that I can find reasonably sized areas of woodlands to go and explore. So I'm going to be spending a few hours this afternoon, maybe 3 or 4 hours, wandering around some of the woodland here, looking at seeing if I can find possible compositions, shooting them, and then sharing those images with you. And if you'd like to let me know what you think, I'd be happy to get your comments. So, time to go exploring. Okay, so wandering around in the woodland, and suddenly I came out into this open space. Now I think it might have one point have been agricultural, this area, probably growing fruit trees. There are some signs of overgrown fruit trees around here. But the spot that I picked, and this is nothing like I had in mind when I came out today, but I just really like this scene, is I found this kind of lone pine tree sitting here, and then in front of it there's these patches of these beautiful little yellow flowers. I don't know what they are, and I just think it makes for quite a pretty image. The sky is quite blue but with some clouds. The sun's pretty high. I'm choosing not to use a circular polarizer for this because I think it's going to cause more problems with the uneven polarization in the sky. And I've just set up a vertical format shot, 16 to 35 lens at about 21mm, using some of the yellow flowers in the foreground, and then kind of there's almost like little trails of this like baked sandy path leading up to the tree, which is kind of sitting up on the top edge of the frame, or the top left hand side of the frame. Shooting at f11. 1/125th of a second. And that actually looks quite nice. You never know what you're going to find when you wander around in the woods. Okay, so I found this wonderful little tree here. The back part of it has got some nice growth on it, it's got green leaves, but this side there's this branch coming out that splits and divides into all these, I don't know, kind of skeletal dead fingers kind of reaching out towards me, and I like that. It just appeals to me. So I've set up to do a shot. Now I found myself slightly torn here, because I've got the 16 to 35 lens on at 16mm, and still the only way I can fit it all in, so in other words not chopping off any of the edges, is to move further back than I really want to, because it loses some of its sort of perspective effect then. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do a 3-shot panorama. So I'm set up vertical 16mm, f16 to get the depth of field. Just because the front part is really close, and I'm going to shoot 3 shots at about a 60th of a second, and then stitch them together later in Lightroom. So let's go on and do that now. Okay, that's it, I'm about done now. Starting to walk back. Spent a good 3.5 hours wandering around in the woodland, seeing what I could find. Found some unexpected places. Enjoyed myself immensely, it's been great fun. How successful have I been? I don't know. I knew this was going to be a challenge. It's a self-training experience, a learning experience, trying to do something different. So I knew I was going to find it challenging photographically, and I have. I'm hoping I got 1 shot, maybe 2. I've got a few scratches to tend to when I get home. Decided today it was too hot to come out wearing long trousers, first time this year that I've decided that, and then went and scrambled around in the woods, so was bound to get a few scratches on my legs. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, don't forget to subscribe. There'll be a subscribe button somewhere up here in a few seconds, and there's a subscribe button down below. Likes, shares and comments are all very much appreciated. I'll just say now, thank you very much for watching, and until the next video, bye.